Today, I am going to talk about a case of disappearance that is quite unusual in France. Indeed, in the French judicial annals, it's the only case of disappearance of a whole family, where no clue could be found. Nobody knows where they went, if they are alive or dead, or even what happened that night of December 25, 1972. The victims. Jacques Méchinaud was 31 years old at the time of his disappearance. He was a worker in the glass factory of Saint-Gobain-sur-Châteaubernard. Pierrette Méchinaud was 29 years old. The couple had 2 children, Eric, 7 years old, and Bruno, 4 years old. The family lived in a house in Boutiers Saint-Trojan, in Chironte. There isn't much information about the victims. If you find any, don't hesitate to mention it. The disappearance. On the night of December 24-25, 1972, the Méchinaud family spent Christmas Eve with family friends in Cognac. Around 2 a.m., the family decided to go home, and got into the family's garnet-colored Simca 1100. They were only about 4 kilometers from home, on the opposite river bank of the Chironte. It was a cold night, and there was a thick fog on the road. Jacques turned on the car for a few minutes to warm up the interior. Then the Méchinauds got into the car. The children excited to open their presents when they arrived home. We will never see them again. Investigations. A week passed without any news from the Méchinauds. They had agreed to meet with Jean-Paul, Jacques' younger brother, on the 25th at noon. Jacques' parents finally alerted the police, worried about the family's sudden radio silence. When the police entered the house, they discovered the children's Christmas presents, still wrapped and placed under the tree. In the fridge. In the kitchen, they find a rotten turkey and some rotten oysters. On the living room table, a checkbook is out. Nothing is missing, be it clothes or the family's personal belongings. The house seems frozen in time. During the investigation, the investigators discover a facet of the Méchinauds that was hidden. Pierrette had a lover for several months. A certain Maurice, a neighbor. She was thinking of divorce. After the Christmas holidays, Jacques' brother, as well as a colleague from the factory, explained to the investigators that Jacques had discovered her shortly before the family's disappearance. However, no evidence was found to support this as the cause of the disappearance. The Chironte River was dredged for kilometers on several occasions, notably in 2011, 2012 and 2013. In addition, a large part of the region was searched, in the hope of finding at least one clue. With each discovery of bones, DNA analyses are carried out, unfortunately without success. In 2012, bones were found in a forest near where the Méchinauds lived. However, DNA analysis will not establish a link between these bones and the missing family. In 2013, a car similar to that of the Méchinauds was found in the Chironte. However, the license plate didn't match. In 2020, investigations are carried out at the home of Pierrette's lover. He was questioned by the investigators, and his property was searched and probed. The objective of the investigators seemed to be to find a letter that Pierrette had sent to Maurice. Only an old rusty revolver was found. Other houses were searched at the same time, including that of Maurice's parents, in which the investigators found only an old rifle. In May 2020, the gendarmes searched another house, located in a dead end. However, a neighbor will explain that it would seem that the searches have proved unsuccessful. Regularly the gendarmes reopen the investigation. The last time was 7 or 8 years ago. They had found nothing. They are like us, the residents of Boutiers. They dream of finding the key to the enigma but don't have the beginning of a clue. Testimonies. According to Pierrette's lover, Jacques spent 2 days in the Vendée, at the home of an army comrade, just before the family disappeared. For him, the man must know something. However, this lead has always been neglected by the investigators. According to Maurice, Pierrette was hit by her husband after Jacques learned of her relationship with her lover. She then told Maurice not to worry. 2 days later, the family disappeared. A neighbor of the family, and colleague of James, reported some disturbing remarks that James would have confided to him. If one day I learn that my wife is cheating on me, everyone will be affected. There will be no remission. Leads. At this stage of the investigation, no lead has been excluded. There is no evidence that would allow us to really favor one of the other leads. One of the leads considered is, of course, the escape of the family abroad, to start a new life. However, no clues were found, no withdrawal of large sums of money, no history of purchase of plane or train tickets. The investigators will still make inquiries in Australia to determine if the family has taken refuge there. But the investigation will lead to nothing. When we talk about a family that has completely disappeared overnight, we can only wonder if it's not a case like the Dupont de Ligonnès case. The father could have murdered his family before disappearing or committed suicide. Having learned that his wife had a lover, and that she wanted to ask for a divorce after Christmas, he would then have gone crazy, killed his wife and children, before committing suicide or running away. But nothing indicates that this is what happened. There is also the possibility of collective suicide. However, there is not much to support this lead. But who knows? Another possibility is that they had a bad encounter at night. They could have run into someone that night, who killed them or kidnapped them, or something else. Finally, there is the accident lead. The road was covered with a very strong fog when they left their friend's house. Moreover, it isn't to be excluded that Jacques had a few drinks to celebrate New Year's Eve. These elements combined with a possible fatigue could have led to an accident that could have cost the family their lives. Conclusion. The problem with this case is that there are no clues, no witnesses. There is nothing. I would be tempted to say that the accident is highly probable. But at the same time, the river that the road they were traveling along has been dredged many times, without the car being found. As for the bad encounter lead, I think why not? But then how could it have happened? Where would the family have been taken? Why would they do that? Are they still alive? As far as the collective suicide lead, honestly, I have a hard time seeing any reason why the family would have done it. I mean, yes, we know literally nothing about this family. There's almost nothing about them. But honestly, I have a hard time imagining that being the cause of the family's disappearance. The trail of the family fleeing to another country. I say to myself, why not? But at the same time, Pierrette had planned to divorce after the holidays, to be with her lover. This is not really the behavior of a person who would suddenly leave with the husband she no longer loves, in another country, without telling anyone. Finally, for me, the most probable lead would be that Jacques would have murdered his whole family before committing suicide or fleeing. Marcel said that Pierrette's husband had been violent with her when he learned that she had a lover, and was going to ask for a divorce after the holidays. So, I'm thinking, if this statement is true, Jacques could have had a fight with his wife in the car. and could have decided to kill them, his family and himself, to keep them by his side forever. But let's just say this case is so strange. The family never returned home. They vanished on the way home. I think to myself, it's impossible that there are no clues. That nobody knows anything. There must be someone, somewhere, who knows something that could lead to knowing what happened to the family that night. Maybe the gendarmes missed a clue that has now been erased. I don't know. But there's got to be something. Sources.